Hi everyone, Florio here, and today we're going to be talking about shiny hunting in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Question is, what's the fastest way to get shiny Pokemon? And the answer might surprise you. Now before we get into the video, I had this idea a while back, and then the holidays happened, it got busy, I was traveling, and all of a sudden we've discovered a lot about shiny den hunting. So yes, I'm not going to dispute that that is the fastest way to find shiny Pokemon. If you can get a shiny den set up, you can just start spamming that for your friends and catching shinies left and right. But for those of us who like to hunt a little more traditionally, today we're going to be discussing Masuda Method versus just spamming encounters as fast as possible. When the games came out, everyone was super excited to try out the new shiny hunting method. The idea was you knock out a Pokemon 500 times, and then you're supposed to get boosted odds for the rest of the hunt. But many people were still going to 3,000, 4,000, even 5,000 encounters and coming up empty-handed, myself included. Still don't have that rookie D. It was later discovered, either by accident or on purpose, Game Freak coded the boosted odds to only happen 3% of the time. That's after you've done all this work to knock out 500 Pokemon. So basically, what that means is that everyone was just full odds hunting. These days, Masuda Method is considered the best way to shiny hunts. But is that really true? Let's look at some math. Yay! Before we get started, I just want to quickly explain the concepts in play. We're going to be talking about, first of all, hitting odds. With the shiny charm, you have a 1 in 512 chance of finding a shiny Pokemon using the Masuda Method. Does that mean that after 511 eggs, your 512th one is guaranteed to be shiny? Of course not. But most people, after doing 512 eggs, will find their shiny. And how many is most people? That's the second concept I want to explain today. Something called expected probability. Essentially, you can take any sort of odds, so 1 in 512, and you can plug in any sort of number of attempts, in my case 512, and you can see what percentage of people, assuming 1 million people in the world are doing the same exact shiny hunt at the same time, will have found at least one shiny by the time they reach that number. In the case of Masuda Method, by the time you do 512 eggs, 63% of people will have found a shiny. In order to hit odds with Masuda Method, you need to hatch 512 eggs, and this takes about 1 minute per egg. Now I know there's different hatch distances. For example, Dreepy hatches really slow, and something common like Magikarp hatches pretty fast. Most Pokemon are in that middle group where it takes about 1 egg per minute. So, using the 1 egg per minute, that means it takes 8 hours and 30 minutes to hit odds using the Masuda Method. That's a full workday with 30 minutes of overtime. Recently, I've been experimenting with encountering stuff in the wild as fast as possible, ignoring the 500 battles part. Depending on the routes, I'm encountering about 3.5 Pokemon per minute. Because the odds are 1 in 1365, that means it takes me 6 hours and 30 minutes before I hit odds using this technique. I'm saving, on average, 2 hours per hunt versus the Masuda Method, assuming my luck is equal across both. Now, I know what you're thinking. With Masuda Method, you're more likely to find a shiny faster. Like under 100 eggs faster. So let's do some more math. Yay! In order to figure this out. Let's use 120 eggs instead, because that's an even 2 hours of hunting. Using the same calculator, 20% of people will find a shiny in under 2 hours of hunting. Or, as we said, 120 eggs. You lucky sons of b-. Going back to the encounter method, 2 hours of encountering things at the same speed we've been using for these calculations is exactly 420 Pokemon encountered. Nice. And using the calculator once again, that's going to result in 26% of people finding the shiny in that 2 hour window. That's more than the Masuda Method. So basically, get wrecked, Masuda-san. Okay, one last test. Then we're done, no more math. Someone on Reddit told me that they were hunting something using the encounter method. They got all the way up to 3,000 encounters and did not get their shiny. That's a lot of non-shiny Pokemon. Roughly, that comes down to about 14 hours and 15 minutes with the encounter method. And the expected probability for this is 11%. My poor, unfortunate friend on Reddit is among the 11% of people that would just get that unlucky after encountering things for 14 plus hours. So how does that compare to Masuda? Let's take that same time window of 14 hours and 15 minutes. In that much time, you can hatch 857 eggs. Hey, wait a second. That's pretty close to how long it took me to get my Galarian Darumaka. Let's say someone hunts for that long Masuda and is equally unlucky does not get a shiny. What percent of people are going to be in that group? Well, crunching the numbers, 19%. That is almost double the encounter method. So no matter how you slice it, Masuda is going to be on average slower than just encountering stuff with the shiny charm. Hitting your odds with Masuda is slower. Going over odds with Masuda wastes even more time. Even going under odds with Masuda will be slower on average than just spamming encounters. Now don't go transferring your totally legit shiny 6IV Japanese Ditto just yet. There are still going to be plenty of hunts where Masuda is just flat out the better option. First of all, it's the only way to hunt certain Pokemon, like the starters. On top of that, you can't catch Pokemon with hidden abilities in the wild. So if you're like me and you're hunting Galarian Darumaka with the hidden ability Inner Focus, you're gonna just have to stick with Masuda Method, even though it still took me 2 shinies to get one with it. Secondly, it's easier to control the nature and IVs of your Pokemon. Now, admittedly, this has gotten a little bit less important with mints and bottle caps in the recent generations. So overall, if you're into competitive battling, it might be a little bit slower to do Masuda versus the encounter method, but you'll make up that extra time by not having to grind in the battle tower. Lastly, one really cool thing about Masuda is it works for nearly any Pokemon. A lot of my math today on the encounter method revolved around seeing 3.5 Pokemon per minute, which is pretty achievable for plenty of species, but there are just other species where that's not going to be possible. For example, Galarian Yamask has about a 35% spawn rate, and there's nothing you can do to manipulate that to make it more common. So unfortunately, until Game Freak adds an ability that boosts ghost type spawns, I'm just gonna have to be sticking with Masuda Method for that guy. That's pretty much all I gotta say for today's. If you prefer Masuda Method, go ahead, keep doing Masuda Method. If you're like me and you find it a little bit boring and you kinda like the fast-paced nature of hunting things down via the encounter method, then I highly recommend you try this out. You will end up saving some time in the long run, and you can even multi-hunt. So sometimes you might get surprised by your second target rather than your main target. Certainly, if you're hatching eggs and something else pops out, that's going to be a little bit concerning for what's going on in the daycare. Anyways, thanks again for watching. Hope you have a great day, and catch you next time